Oh, I don't know how well service is going to be inside Meyer. I'm in here doing a little shopping right now. I'm getting some paint supplies for the body work I'm doing on the truck. Anyway, let's just get right to the point here. Um, my father is back in the hospital again. It's like the third time in 2 weeks now. He has really, really, really high CO2 levels and low oxygen levels, and it's causing him to not be himself. Like my mother said, she went in his hospital room and he seemed really agitated and very, very, very upset. And he was saying stuff like asking for a divorce and just saying like really, really, really crazy off the wall stuff. And the doctors are concerned that the CO2 levels being is probably going to cut in and out because I'm in Meyer, like I said. Um, so Pops is really not even himself. He's not a pleasant person to be around. And Mom was like, "Don't even go see him right now." Um, we've decided to just go ahead and put the house on the market. So Wednesday they got a realtor coming out, and she says we're gonna be done with it. If I gotta work and take care of your dad, um, we can't afford to keep the house as well. We gotta let it go. Just move into a condo where somebody can do the snow and the grass for us and keep everything up, and we don't have to pay somebody every week to come do it. Um, so that's kind of some of what's going on in my life right now. Um, I've been writing like a lot of articles and stuff and putting them out over the internet, so a lot of new faces and a lot of new people recognizing me and some of the work that I've been putting in, and kind of stepping away from YouTube and doing more on Facebook. Stuff's crazy lately with social media and how they're trying to control everything. Everything's got to be censored now, and it's like Facebook just put out another article, or there's like a newspaper online, like newspaper news agency that just put out another article today talking about how Facebook is starting to lock down on how they're controlling things more, and they're going to be deleting posts and getting rid of things. And I mean, there's just a number of things that's really crazy right now. And then Google deleting stuff and censoring what alternative health sites have to say. Wikipedia for the last few years, you know, deleting stuff that doesn't fit their agenda, their narrative. Um, it's just so much stuff going on right now, and now KFC's putting out the Beyond Meat chicken stuff and all this. I mean, it's just absolute craziness right now. And then the dog, I couldn't figure out why she's been limping lately, so I took her to the vet, and I said, she's favoring the right leg more and not putting so much pressure on her left leg. And she acts like she's in pain when I touch her spine. And they were like, we got to do an X-ray. We got to do like senior lab panels and stuff. So whatever we got to do, we got to do it. So I paid for the X-rays to be done, and it came back that she's got a collapsed disc between her L2 and L3 vertebrae, and it is kind of putting some pressure on the sciatic nerve, which affects their hindquarters, their legs, and it's affecting her left leg, to where she can't put a lot of pressure on it, and it's calcium and high phosphorus. So you're gonna have to start getting some kind of calcium supplement. And I reach out to a bunch of people on Facebook, that kind of have been through this kind of thing, and one of the ladies responded with elk antler, um, basically ground up elk antler. It's really high in calcium and lower in phosphorus, and it's a great bone broth supplement for dogs. So that came in the mail today. I started supplementing her with it, but I'll just be straight with you. She's in so much pain and discomfort and stuff right now that there's no guarantee that even the surgery would fix what's wrong with her. They said, with her vision starting to be affected because of her age, and her hearing starting to be affected by it, and her being an older dog now, you could put $3,000 to $5,000 in her to get her vertebrae fused together and it'll kind of limit some of her mobility, but at least she'll be back up and going again in 6 to 8 weeks in no pain. But it starts to degrade their health as well. So, you might get another year or two out of her or something like that, where if she goes through the surgery and, they limit the pain and stuff, you may have cut that down to a year. They said there's no telling what surgery can do to animals just like humans. So I've got, she's in a lot of pain right now. And it's mainly when she moves, so she's very selective when she gets up to use the bathroom and stuff like that. She'll lay there all day in the same spot just to stop from being uncomfortable walking around. And I can't do this anymore. It seems like she's just getting worse, progressively getting worse, and I don't have $5,000 to pay for her surgery. So, I mean, what do I do? Do I let her just live in pain and suffer? Or is it time, that she's towards the end of her lifespan that most dogs her age and size and breed live? I've got her set up for euthanasia Saturday at 11:15. I don't know what else to do. I can't let her live in pain. Um, Sorry to hear that, Scott. So now I'm to the point where, at 11:15 on Saturday, um, I've got her set to be put down, but I'm hoping between now and then she shows me something to where that's not the case. When I came home today, I laid on the kitchen floor. She likes laying on the kitchen floor next to the refrigerator because it's a little tight, cozy spot, and it makes her feel safe. I laid on the kitchen floor and I looked in her face and I asked her. I said, "Is it time to go, girl? Are you done?" As I said, is there? Are you telling me that this is that's it? You're ready to move on? And she couldn't even barely keep her eyes open. I mean, she looked like she was passing away right there in front of me. It's sad because she's giving me a lot of time. But I got up and I made her food. I got a couple hamburger patties and chopped it up for her. And then the new bone broth, calcium, phosphorus supplement and everything came in. It's not cheap. I chopped up the hamburger and stuff and put it in her food and took some of that new supplement, put in there with some high omega-3 joint supplement that's really expensive for dogs. Crushed it all up and put it in there, and it enticed her enough to eat all her food. I mean, she ate everything. Um, so between now and Saturday, with the joint supplement and all the research that I've been doing on, I think it's IVD or IVDD, the dogs have lived and recovered, and a very, very high percent from this. So I'm thinking that by me scheduling the appointment for euthanasia, maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe I was looking for a worst case scenario, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if that's the right call. My head's in 1,000 different places with it right now. I'm trying to figure out, is putting her down the right thing right now? So that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm gonna watch her over the next week and just get her some nice, decent exercise. Not crazy, just a little small walk to the corner and back. And um, if her condition doesn't improve by this weekend, I don't know what else to do. I I don't know. I don't want her to live in pain. I don't want her to have to live to where she's laid up in the house all day, and the only time she moves is when she absolutely has to go to the bathroom or when she knows she absolutely has to have dinner or something like that. I don't want her to have to go through that. I mean, what kind of life is that to live, to finish out? I I can't justify that. And if she's going to live that way, uh, yeah, I mean, everybody's telling me these stories about these medications and shots and all this other stuff. But then, you got to keep going back. You got to keep buying this stuff. You got to keep paying for it. More visits and stuff like that. The dog's got to live doped up on stuff for the rest of their life. And then by the time it's all said and done, you may have spent $3,000 to $5,000 to just do the surgery and get rid of everything. And then you don't have to keep feeding them full of stuff. I looked at, somebody told me some of these Adequin shots. Some lady said my dog has 3 bulging discs and 1 collapsed disc or something like that, in messed up vertebrae, and I take her every 2 weeks to get a new supply of Adequin shots, and basically they shoot this anti-inflammatory into the dog right directly into the muscle, and it lasts every 3 to 4 days. You got to give them a new injection, and I don't know. I don't know that I can do that. I don't know that I can justify that. Arthritis is not the same thing as a disc that's bulging and leaking fluid into the body. So, it's easy to talk about it and make suggestions and stuff when when you've been there and you've dealt with that circumstance. But me trying to justify keeping medication in a dog that is damaged, I'm not taking care of the problem. All I'm doing is masking it. I'm just giving them this false sense of, okay, I can still move around a little bit more, but I'm going to have to keep giving you this medication forever because you have something that's wrong with you. And, God forbid the one time that I forget the medication and she has a reaction to it, or it's just a number of things going through my head right now. It's no easy decision for anybody. I'm to the point now where I'm trying to do everything that I can to get that answer. And, I know we look at each other and we try to talk to each other and teach each other that the ultimate goal for us is to get to a point where we don't need to take statins and medications and injections and stuff like that. And I like to treat my dog the same way. Years old in human life. Do you really want her to live until she's 15? Can you imagine the impact on her joints and her health and everything else? I mean, she's lived a good life. It's very sad for me because I don't, there's a part of me that says, let her be free. Let her get rid of the pain. Don't pump her full of medication. And there's another part of you that says, just go ahead and order the stuff yourself. Because there are places that you can actually order online other stuff that people are talking about that you're actually getting the product, but it's from, other third-party sources. Or do I go back through and start paying all the money all over again, just to get her in the vet? One vet says it's $50 to get her in, and then it's $100 for the exam and stuff because we're not going to give you medications. My vet, he doesn't do shots and certain medications and stuff like other vets does because he's more like natural, minimal stuff. He doesn't get into all that other stuff. I don't know if it's a licensing issue or what it is, but he's got the best rating in my area, so I go to him. And, I asked today about Adequin shots because that's what this other lady was talking about, and they said, well, we don't believe in doing that stuff here, but if you really wanted it, we could order it in here. Then I went online, and you can order it from Pet Pharmacy and PetMed.com and all this other stuff where they say it's the legit 100% same thing. There's nothing illegal about selling it because it's just an anti-inflammatory for an animal. I mean, you can get the whole entire kit right there, but it's like, I think it's like $100 or something, or $75 to $100 every week just for the supply of this stuff. I don't know what to do right now. Get up, stay off of her left. And then when she gets up and walks around, she's got a habit of tracking to the right in a circle because she doesn't want to track to the left because it will shift her weight over on her hip and it puts too much pressure on that left leg. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't want this dog to live in pain. And I don't want to have to inject her full of meds and anti-inflammatories and everything else. And I don't want to let her go. So there's a number of things I'm trying to deal with right now, and I don't know It would be sad to let her go because her lab panels came back that her organs were functioning perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with her organs at that age. And then he showed me pictures of her knees and um, her kneecap area or whatever it's called, and her her hip sockets for looking at the hip dysplasia and stuff. And he said, "Man, there's like absolutely nothing wrong with your dog at all. You got to fix the calcium phosphorus issue and whatever." Dermax or something, Dermax, Dermaxx, and he said it's an NSAID or whatever you called it, and he said it doesn't, it's a class 1, so it doesn't mess with their organs or tear up their stomach or anything like that. And he said it's 75 mils is pretty strong for a dog of her size, and he said give it a shot. Within a couple of days you should be able to see if it works. And after taking it for 6 days, 2 of the times that she took it, it made her throw up. So she's not doing very well with these anti-inflammatories. I mean, I know each one of them may affect her differently, but this is one of the reasons why I really don't, I don't know. You know, with my father being in the hospital, there's no telling what's going to happen with him, and then her is, I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's tough. It's tough because, you know, I'm trying to get my life together and stuff like that, and it seems like once I'll see. I'll bring it up to the vet. I'm gonna call them tomorrow and see if I can get I was thinking about possibly trying to get her into physical therapy to get her adjusted to see if like a chiropractor could adjust her to relieve some of that pressure on her spine. And they said maybe that disc will draw back in some. It'll stop putting pressure on her spinal cord or sciatic nerve, and it might make her feel better. So there are other options, but again, that comes down to money. It's like $240 just to schedule the appointment with a physical therapist, as to where if I sit down with the surgeon so he can tell me what he thinks, it's only $140. Or you go pay $150 and have them euthanized so they don't have to live in pain for the rest of their life. It's hard. It's a hard decision right now. So what happened last night was I let her outside to use the bathroom at about 11 o'clock. She woke me up, and I let her out. And normally she walks right in front of the house. She'll do her business and she'll come back in. She's got a habit of walking in and out about a dozen times. She likes to walk out of the house and in the house, out of the house and in the house. And she'll do this over and over and over again. And then she'll do her business, and then she comes in and goes right to bed. Well, last night, about 10-15 minutes into letting her out, I said, "Where's she at? Normally she's done by now. Even worst case, maybe she's constipated a little bit or something like that. Maybe I've given her too many table scraps as a treat or something to that extent." And she never came back in. So I was just standing in my underwear, and I was like, "Hey, Paige, where you at?" And I'm freaking out. I'm starting to get worried. She's not coming to the door. So I said, "What the heck?" So I hurry up and throw a shirt on in my Crocs, and I run outside in my underwear, and I got my phone for the camera, and I run around to the back of the house, and she's standing there, and she's just staring off into the tree like a zombie, like she's completely lost it. And I went up to her, and it's like she didn't even see me when I was like 5 to 10 feet away from her. She had no idea I was even there. It's like her body is literally changing. Like she can't hear as good anymore. She can't smell as good anymore. Her vision is not as good anymore. And then right when I said, "Hey, get out of there, girl. You know you're not supposed to be back here. Get in the house." And as soon as I said that, a clap of thunder went off because it was raining. And she absolutely hates thunder. Normally she'll try to run right in the house, but she freaked out. She lost it. She lost all control of herself, and she started running through the back of these people's yards. And here I am in my boxers, my Crocs, and in a shirt that was an undershirt, running through the back of people's properties and stuff, trying to catch her. Luckily, she didn't run that fast because of her spine. I finally started to catch up to her, but then all of a sudden she turns back around on me and starts headed back towards the house. So I'm thinking, okay, so let's just run to the house. I'll keep up with her all the way to the house, and then she'll go in the house and we'll go to bed. And I won't be mad at her because I understand she didn't do that. She cut off across the field and she started running across this field and she just kept going and going and going. And then she hit a little side road and she started running towards the neighbor's property somewhere. And I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm wore out, tired already. I finally catch up to her and grab her. And when I grabbed her, she looked at me like she didn't even know who I was. She's trying to pull away from me like she didn't even recognize me. And then I walk her over to the house and I get her in the house. I lay her down, and as I'm laying her down, going to pull the cover over her, she growls at me and she looks like she's wanting to snap at me, or her lip starts pulling up like she literally lost it. She was in so much pain from running and stuff like that, and the thunder, and for some reason she ended up in the back of the house like she was lost. It almost seems like it's time. Like everything's showing me that like it's just time for her to go. I don't even know. I mean, I would hate for somebody else to touch her or something like that, or be around her and her freak out on them and bite them, and then I'm liable for it. I mean, she's to the point now where she just, I don't know. I have no idea what to do anymore. It's just really, 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 really nerve wracking, and then on top of that, just working like I'm working, my father in a hospital, trying to hang on to, being a good boyfriend to Angie, and living my life. It's overwhelming. It's really, really, really overwhelming. Today, the neighbor went to church this morning. She did some stuff with church, and she's been taking care of the dog during the day. She's like her permanent dog sitter. She does really good with Paige, and she lets her out like a dozen times a day, walks around the neighborhood, everything else, really checks on her. She'd go over there and sit with her and talk to her and stuff like that. She said I was gone just maybe 4 or 5 hours in the morning. I came back and she had went to the bathroom in the kitchen, in the living room, on the bed. She was a mess. Couldn't even control herself. And then she went from going to the bathroom just a couple times a day to where she's got to urinate like a dozen times or more a day. It's like literally she can't even hold it anymore at all. That lead me to believe it's time to her experience another doggy world where I know she's happy and not here. Anyway, that's the update of what's going on lately. You know, I'm up for trying anything, but she's already having a hard enough time as it is. I would hate to start giving her medications and stuff like that, and have that stuff affect her, and then have to be reliant on the next 2 or 3 years of doing nothing but paying for more medications and more medications and more medications. I mean, I wish I could ask her, what do you want? I was listening to a vet talk earlier, and he said, you don't keep your dog alive to suit your needs. You keep your dog alive to suit her needs. And if she's not happy, she has to live a life that's not natural, and you have to dope her up and give her medications and stuff like that to keep her alive. It's more along the lines of your needs, not so much hers. Would she really want to be a part of that? What was her purpose with you to begin with? Has she lived a good life? Is it time for her to go? Do you feel like it's time for her to go? Does she feel like? And just her look on her face tonight when I got home from work, and I was just laying there on the floor, and her eyes were just so droopy, and she could barely even hold her head up. And it's starting to become more and more and more of this. I almost have to entice her with treats and stuff like that just to get her hormones or whatever moving again, to make her come out of that spell. And then it's almost like I have to convince her and really beg her to get up. And at that point, I almost have to trick her to come out of that stagnant position. And she'll come out of it for a little bit, and then she just goes right back to it. She's like a zombie almost, just dealing with pain and probably the achiness of whatever's wrong with that disc pushing on her sciatic nerve, that she's probably so numb to it now that anyhow, that's what's going on with her. It's what's going on with my father. We're at the end of a 48-hour fast right now, or at the second or the first half of a 48-hour fast right now. We're gonna go till tomorrow night. A bunch of people joined in on it with me just to clean the stuff out from the weekend. You know, me and Angie going out to eat and stuff like that, and getting some carbs and sugar and stuff in me that I normally wouldn't have in me, and um, just I'm still trucking. I'm still doing what I'm doing, trying to stay positive through everything. But it seems like, you can't get ahead. But then you have to remember you're never given more than what you can handle. At least I like to think so anyway. The new job's going well. Uh, they work me like a dog, even though I've been trying to tell them I'm gonna start taking more time for myself and not working so much. So my boss has been pretty receptive to that because I think he feels bad about asking me to stay so much longer than what I'm supposed to stay. So I've been focusing on a little bit more getting away so I could be here with Paige and stuff at home earlier, and that's the that's the gist of what's going on in my life right now. So just wanted to update you guys a little bit, and that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys. That's the update.